Craig of the Creek has had insane story progression, legitimate twists and turns, expansive world building, and now, not only does the main antagonist have a massive leg up on everyone else, but we have a full-fledged anime-esque rogue gallery. Yeah, I already knew I loved this show, but as someone with ADHD who's always hyper-fixated on animation, mainly the lingering questions and bigger picture, yes, me saying I'm ADHD probably explains a lot, but let's discuss the Season 3 premiere of Craig of the Creek, the half-hour special that premiered commercial-free. You know Cartoon Network loves the show when they do commercial-free premieres. The Other Side, the tournament. We're gonna do a story recap, break down the new villains, and even throw in some story predictions. If you're not caught up with Craig of the Creek, you're probably thinking, wait, there's lore? And we have 2 extensive videos on the story so far that you can check out. It's actually pretty insane and still feels like a fantasy series, although it's still grounded in reality to a certain extent. With all that said, let's dive in. As a Father's Day special, this episode takes place on Dwayne, Craig's dad's birthday. Craig is insecure about his gift, a card, because Bernard got him a new pineapple watch, aka Apple Watch. The family comes over to celebrate, but as their birthday celebration is later in the day, Craig and Bryson go to the creek in the meantime. And let me just say, I love that other recurring characters that necessarily don't play a role in the bigger story, well, come into play with an important role in a major story-driven episode. It's always just been such a great way to validate pre-existing episodes and thus rewarding the viewer in a satisfying way. After initiating Operation Cooldown, creating a water fountain out of hoses in order to counteract the heat, Craig spots fireworks from the other side of the creek that he misreads as a distress call from Omar, the Green Poncho. In reality, it's another show of wealth from King Xavier. As the Green Poncho soon explains, the fireworks are to signal a tournament, one the king holds every year in celebration of his birthday, rallying the other side's population in order to have them compete in games for his previous birthday presents. However, these presents are awesome. I have no idea if toy commercials are as popular today, but good googly moogly. It looks like his parents bought a whole commercial break from the 2000s. Also, a direct Steven Universe reference. Wild. Our assembled group, Sans, Green Poncho, and Mortimer, decide to take a risk and infiltrate the other side to compete in the tournament and win an awesome prize that Craig can use as a new gift. They're aided in this adventure by the Honeysuckle Rangers, who grant them honeysuckle disguises, as you can only compete in the tournament under a particular team, such as the Cherry Blossoms and the Water Lilies. King Xavier from the jump has a twisted view of the situation, making it clear that everyone is gathered to fight over him, not to celebrate him, just as he took satisfaction in making Maya and Omar fight over the title of his BFF. The tournament in itself is pretty straightforward. Each member of the group competes individually in different games: red light, green light, a water balloon toss, and jousting. The king is often bored by games being played fair and square, with no sort of foul play or injury. It's only when seeing kids embarrassed and exhausted that he evokes any sort of positive emotion. Kelsey and JP compete in one of the games, jousting, and naturally excel, their performance immediately grabbing Maya's attention. This leads to their cover being completely blown once Kelsey defeats a champion of the creek with her sword, confirming Maya's suspicions, whom points out Craig's and the others' presence to the king, and his reaction was chilling. The final game of the tournament is Slaps, a game that Craig competes in, falling into a surefire trap as Maya substitutes for the Cherry Blossoms, throwing Craig off his game with strong hints that she's aware of his identity. Let me just say, Maya, from her design to her attitude to her approach, is such a cool antagonist. Definitely needs a hug and some counseling, but right now I'm definitely enjoying how they execute her as an antagonist. I feel as if we all grew up with kids like this. Not necessarily flat out jerks, but you already know they're not someone to be trifled with. You don't want to mess with her or you'll have a bad time. Maya messes with Craig's head as she sets up her nastiest slap yet, but at the very last second, refrains and forfeits. The king declares our heroes as the winners, asking them to claim their prizes, and congratulates Craig by his full title, unmasking him and the others to the masses, and confiscating his map. Craig at first tries to convince Xavier and Maya that he didn't bring the map, only to be exposed once more. He then makes an attempt to fight back for the map, trying to prevent the king to obtain the knowledge of the creek's layout for his invasion. But the king takes a picture of the map on his phone, Craig is outplayed by modern technology. The king returns the map and publicly executes the gang by throwing them into the maze. We finally get to see what it is up close and personal. The maze is complex, massive, overgrown, cut off from any cell phone service, and composed of bushes way too thick to jump through or cut through. Craig quickly realizes his earlier problem solving of a tangled hose in Operation Cooldown applies to a maze as well, realizing the exit is connected to the entrance and commanding everyone to stay to that specific side of the wall. Going through the many traps of the maze, there's jacks, wind-up teeth, a pile of brownies with a very strange brownie demon inside. Like, is that a real human being? They're going to explain that, right? It's definitely twisted that the king just has this at the ready. What was this maze before it was abandoned? Who else has suffered from being in there? Has anyone ever escaped? We didn't really see a pile of bones. Maybe that's the brownie guy. They escape from the maze only to find the champions of the creek awaiting them, but the opposing forces quickly disband once the clock strikes dinner time. One of the champions, the Blur, references chili dogs, which is another cheeky nod to Sonic as the Blur's entire existence is, but we'll get to that in a second. Returning home, Craig informs the Green Poncho that the king has a picture of the map, but they'll talk later, despite Omar being thrown off his A-game. Craig gives his father his card, and his dad loves it. Dwayne, best cartoon dad of the modern age? I think so. The episode concludes with Craig remarking they'll be ready for the king when the time comes for the invasion, with a chilling illustration of the king surrounded by silhouettes of the champions of the creek and Maya. And on that note, we have new villains. Hello? Again, this is very shonen, very anime. It makes sense the king would have his own crew, but I like that it's not necessarily King Arthur and his knights. They're individual inhabitants of the other side that have earned their place through their skill. It's reminiscent of the Ginyu Force or the Akatsuki, except, you know, these are kids, they're not really like evil. But running through these three champions, we have the Blur, whose name I do not want to botch, so apologies if this is a mispronunciation, but Ken or Kiensup? Champion of the Cherry Blossoms. His general ability, super speed. A general riff on insanely fast characters like Sonic and the Flash. Craig of the Creek already has had a few Sonic references with the running gag of the Slight the Ferret video game character, so this makes sense. I wonder how they're going to explain his super speed. Is it going to be like a sugar rush, energy drinks, track team, perhaps? He eats healthy? Whatever the case may be, I cannot wait to find out. Afterwards, we have The Arm, aka Jackie, champion of the Water Lilies, who has an insanely strong pitching arm with great speed, accuracy, and hand-eye coordination. I immediately wonder if Jackie's character is going to have a correlation as to why Maya was rejected from the baseball team all those years ago, or year ago, whatever the timeline was. That would just be such an interesting connection, and a great way to delve deeper into Maya as a character. Having someone on her team who, for all intents and purposes, Maya still may hold resentment towards. That just sounds like such an interesting dynamic, and if you ask me, would check out. I'm not sure if Maya comes from the other side or not. I'm pretty sure the implication is that her and Omar come from the same neighborhood, which is more on the middle class side of the creek. So assuming King Xavier isn't the only wealthy one on the other side, and that the other side in general, again, is just composed of kids who come from wealthier families, at least those who earn a higher income, that maybe that has something to do as to why Maya got rejected, but Jackie got accepted. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I just really enjoy how they're approaching the storyline. And last but not least, we have the Squashinator, aka Aggie, champion of the Acorn Knights. Realistically, we didn't learn much of her, no trace of a defining characteristic other than she's in shape. It kind of reminded me of the Big Buff Cheeto Puff Jasper, so she may just be the muscle of the champions. Definitely need to learn a little more about this one, but got that opera voice though. And also that brownie guy, what the fuck? But yes, it appears they're poised to be the main antagonist of this third season. And on that note, what else could happen? Well, I have a few story predictions. The Champions of the Creek are a great way to keep the show serialized yet episodic. I can definitely see each champion of the Creek having their own episode this season, which dedicates more time to explore each champion, maybe even deal with them one by one. Not necessarily defeat, but considering we're on Cartoon Network and these are the head writers of Steve Universe, a redemption arc, these characters are children. They don't all need to be the next Azula. But hey, if they want to do something different, I guess they could? Stealing the king's phone may become its own mission in an episode, in an attempt to delete the photos of the map off of there, but then you get into everything with the cloud. However, I can't see them just accepting this, oh no, we lost, we just gotta prepare for the invasion. I think if there's a chance they could get the map off of there, they'll take it. I just believe something else is going to happen. Like Maya also has a picture, and they're definitely not gonna get her phone off of her. This could also be a good chance to bring in the previous king, Cheyenne. If she's in high school, then she may know Bernard. As a whole, we can see how the serialized or older characters of the Creek behave and are perceived outside of the Creek. For example, the elders of the Creek are probably viewed as nerds who are kinda sad for hanging out the Creek, considering what Cheyenne said about hanging at the Creek while being in high school would be socially unacceptable. But maybe that's Cheyenne's own view because again, this family is spoiled. I think it is set up that they're gonna come from a bigoted family who easily looks down upon others for not possessing what they possess. And of course, that would go to the parents. I feel like some of the parent characters are going to have a bigger role in all this, especially if we see Xavier's parents, which I think would be very important to his character and in making a bigger statement about how our parents, or parental guardians, and their parenting has a heavy influence on the people we can become. And the importance of kids being able to recognize that and doing the best they can to change that before they become a toxic individual. And are we already in the endgame? Because this story has progressed a lot and I would love if there's more on the horizon, but we're already on the 3rd season. I feel like we live in an era where even popular cartoons won't run for years and years. And I mean, they're setting up a war arc. How is that not endgame material? And hey, if it is the endgame, let's make this show poppin'. Craig of the Creek deserves more respect. I'm not just saying that because of the story arc, but it definitely gives the people a reason to be invested. My new favorite thing in introducing my girlfriend to new cartoons is showing the essential story arc episodes, or just starting at a big one, because that is a great way to grip people's attention into modern cartoons. Of course, some shows we watch from the beginning, like when I got her into Star and Gravity Falls. Star before it ended, so watching season 4 was really fun, and that's all the lore I'm giving you today. But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. What do you think? How do you feel about Craig of the Creek? Are you interested in this 3rd season? Should we make more Craig of the Creek content? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts at RoundTableVids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at OstricFox. We're also on Instagram. Help Learn to Grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. OstricFox, signing out.